Because this was 5 years ago. I had a coach that was helping me figure out how to keep more money on the listing side and pay less on the co-broke, right? And we worked on some of that stuff, Dean. Like, officially, I've just sold my second listing at 3.9% to the listing agent. But you're at 3.9. Now the agents come in at 3%. You're at 6.9. Well, nobody said that can't happen. That's fine. I can take a 7% listing. That's fine.
Do you see any unintended consequences of this playing out? Oh, my company not explaining this in the right way, Dean. Like, we had a listing where it was like, $1.5 million deal. And it was, we had multiple offers. I mean, no joke. We had three out of the 5 offers. They all refused to sign single property form. They didn't want to be represented. They said, I got this. Don't worry about it. Well, phone warriors, you know who we have right now. A returning guest, David Van Noy. David, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. I'm here.
So, yeah,
don't you have applause that can come in?
Exactly. Yeah, there it is.
We're gonna have that right on cue. We'll make sure the marketing guy gives you the round of applause that you deserve.
We know that there's topics, right? We know there's something that we're supposed to be talking about.
Oh yeah.
What's hot? Yeah. What are you hearing right now? What's on the street? There's a
lot of controversy out there, right? Especially I've been hearing you get a little bit of heat for you finally opening up about your perspective. So, Dean, what are you thinking about?
Well, I mean, what's great is DVN, you've been pretty vocal about this whole NAR lawsuit. You've been one of the leading voices, let's say, in my opinion, that I've seen on social platforms that you've been coming out. And really, you never really delved into the social platform, but I see you on X, I see you on Facebook, and you're basically saying like, look, we're not paying, I'm working, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, seems like your position is, you're in the position of, I am focused on my client's best interest of the seller, and buyer's agents have at it, do whatever you want to do. Is that what I'm understanding from your perspective?
Yeah. So going back a little further on that, I spent a lot of time, like 6 months leading up to this, just observing how people thought they were going to handle it. As it got really close, like 3 weeks out, I was really digging deep on our agreements. Like, how are we going to write the listing agreement? And how is this going to be an opportunity for the company to make more money? And how can we increase our listing side? Because this was 5 years ago. I had a coach that was helping me figure out how to keep more money on the listing side and pay less on the co-broke, right? And we worked on some of that stuff, Dean. Like, and every company, and I consider every real estate agent a company, every company should figure out how to keep the most amount of profit all the time. Now, in the real estate industry, though, the big push was, but people don't like you. People won't show your listings, which is bullshit. Or people, they don't like you. That's true. But I remember like being at an event with a lady named Bellino Bide. Have you ever met Beline?
I've heard the name. Tina talks about it a lot, actually. So, yeah.
So she's one of my favorite people, and I always seek her out at the events when we go to the events. I think she's 85 years old now. And I'd talk to her and she's like, oh, everybody hates me in Michigan where I live. And I'm like, this is the nicest old lady I've ever met. Like, what do you mean they don't like you for what? Oh, I call their expired listings and they'd love to kill me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I was settled at that moment. Like, okay, so if I operate my business at a high level, if I prospect and do all the things that I'm going to do, they're going to hate me anyways, right? So let's make the most amount of money. So that kind of led up to this conversation with the lawsuit.
So what is your position then? Like, what are you saying for your company right now? What are you telling agents on your team in your company, right? To go further on that point.
Well, I'll go further on it in this way. So I'm still in production with my company. I own the brokerage. And I thought it'd be really important for me to get out and get in front of people and figure out, how does this feel? How does it feel to get an EBA signed? How does it feel to take listings? What rate can I take on the listing? So today, officially, I've just sold my second listing at 3.9% to the listing agent. And that's what I took 27 listings so far since the NAR change. I've taken 100% of them at a 3.9% listing fee. So my belief is, well, let's go through that, because that here's what I think people need to know. Here's how I arrived at this. When I was going through the agreements, I realized it's easier to just sell my side of the commission anyways. Now the buyer agent is really on their own to get their fee built into it, and they have to have an EBA that shows that anyways. So here's the bet. The bet that I'm looking at as a company is, are those agents going to be able to protect their own fees? And do they have enough confidence, right?
Chutzpah.
To get chutzpah. Yeah, that's a good Jersey word, right?
Yeah, I don't know
you have
who's
the chutzpah to get the fee.
Yeah, and the balls for everybody out there.
The bull. You got to take the market by the bulls. You know what I'm saying? So, but here's what I think. If I'm betting, I got to price. This is my job. I got to price these buyers agents based on what they think their service is worth. That's what I got to price, because there's 6 points on the table. I know that here. Maybe there's 5 points on the table there, whatever, right?
Yep.
So if there's 5 points on the table and the agents are only going to show up and ask for 1.5 or 2, then there's 4 points out there. I got to figure out how to take those. I got to keep that money, right?
So like, okay,
so you're betting on yourself and your own abilities to be able to get that contract signed. And then after that, you're going to be even a better negotiator for your seller to get the other side down. So at the end of the day, they're still paying exactly what it is, 6 points.
Let me tell you how it sounds, and then I'll tell you, let's play devil's advocate. So if somebody was on here playing devil's advocate, they go, well, yeah, but you're at 3.9. Now the agents come in at 3%. You're at 6.9. Well, nobody said that can't happen. That's fine. I can take a 7% listing. That's fine. That's first. Second thing is, I haven't misled anybody. I've been clear to the seller, and I'll tell you exactly what I say. The next piece is, what I'm banking on is that you don't get 3% in your EBA. I'd like you to. I'm going to encourage you to. I'm not the one anymore saying you're not worth that much. That's not my job. That's your job, right? Get your own fee built in there and figure out what you're worth. That's where we're at right now. So when I position it to a seller and say, listen, because of the NAR settlement, we're able to charge you a 3.9% commission, and the buyer's agent commission is going to be in the offer. So if it comes in at 1, 2, or 2.5, you can decide which offer you'd like to take. Now, if somebody makes you an offer and it includes a 3% commission, it's going to have to be a pretty good offer, right? There you go. So I would advise you to prepare for somewhere between 1 and 2.5%. But it's up to them.
Do you see any unintended consequences of this playing out?
Oh, yeah. Well, my position or the whole NAR settlement?
Let's go with both right now. With the way that you're going at it in this way, which sounded really nice and smooth, but yeah.
Well, I've had 26 people say yes to that at every price point, up to a $2.75 million listing that hired me for 3.9%. So the proof is the pudding there. So as far as whether or not it works, I presented it 27 times. Everyone's fine with it.
So now they don't think that you're splitting that fee with a, like, obviously that's what the settlement is. Obviously we know this, but I'm saying the sellers don't think you're splitting that 3.9 or offering, or they're paying, like, that's like that's not, it's all relative. You're positioning it that the buyer's offer has to net you X amount to cover that cost anyway. So therefore they're in a position where they just work with you on whatever fee that you charge, basically.
So I'm very purposeful about this language for a reason. So 3.9 is the fee that you're going to pay me as the listing agent to market your home. In the agreement, what I'm going to say next is, if we should sell your home to an unrepresented buyer, we've pre-agreed to 1.9% on that side. Right? So that's 5.8% total for an unrepresented buyer. Because the other thing, I think 30% of my deals are going to be double-sided. So that's the way I position it. At that point, I'm going to say, If we double side it, we're going to charge 1.9 to work with an unrepresented buyer. They need paperwork. They have questions, showings, inspections, all those things we're going to assist with. The good thing for you is you only have to deal with me and I represent you. So that's going to make for the best possible scenario. So now we've looked at two numbers in terms of the commission, right? As far as presentation is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, now sign the contract, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
do. And I'll say, now that you've signed, I want you to understand your offers could include compensation for a buyer's agent somewhere between 1.5% to 2.5%. That's what I expect. They could ask you for 3%, 4%, or 5%. If they do that, I'm going to present it, and it's going to have to be a pretty good offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The good news is you're in charge of that negotiation, so I'm going to bring it to you, and we're going to figure out what you want to do.
Nice.
That's why you've hired me for 3.9, by the way, because everybody else in the world will take your listing still at 5 or 6%, guarantee a commission to a buyer agent. When you work with me at 3.9, I'm going to swing that bat of leverage every minute of every day. That's why you pay me more.
Okay, so a question that came up from an agent called me. Like, she's like, "Oh, my company not explaining this in the right way, Dean. Like, you seem to have this on lock. Like, what do I need to know about?" Because her big hang up was dual agency. Because it still exists.
Big hang up.
It still exists, technically.
So, and it'd be the number one way that we're all going to make business, make extra money here. You know, at the end of the day, our fiduciary rights to the seller, right? And to get the seller the most money possible in any situation that we are. So they're going to hire us as a professional real estate agent, and we're going to professionally market and advertise their property. But in the unevent circumstance that somebody comes off of the marketing we do to the public, and that buyer wants to come work with us, that's great. We'll be a paper pusher, but at the same time holding the seller's best right and netting the most money. So it might be in their best benefit to work directly with the listing agents now, in my opinion.
Yeah, but let's piece this apart, because this was the thing that I worked on for about 3 weeks. I couldn't figure this part out. I was trying to figure out, like, I don't want to have to go show my own listings, because that's not a thing. Mm-hmm. Right? So the dual agency piece doesn't work. I own my brokerage. And so I'm the broker, which means every listing that's taken in the whole building is my listing. Mm-hmm. So that creates a problem. And it creates a problem for your agency as well, that when you take a listing, if you send a buyer agent out to go show a sign call, there's a potential issue there if they're unrepresented. Well, here's what I ran into. I used to be able to, because I had a 6% commission, I could sell the home to an unrepresented buyer and keep all 6, right?
Correct.
Make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now I'm at 3.9. I can't send anybody because I need to raise the commission, but I can't raise the commission to the seller, not allowed. And I can't now create an agreement, an agency agreement with a buyer who wants to be unrepresented. So that's why we had to pre-agree in the listing agreement to an unrepresented fee. One, because I want to avoid dual agency. I want to avoid it. The buyer's unrepresented as much as possible. That's the
what if hold on, David, what if the buyer says, "I want you to represent me and the seller"? What do you say?
Well, I can't effectively do that.
Okay, so do. Yeah.
I would assign an agent, at least at minimum. What I would do in that situation, if they insisted on it, I would assign them an agent at my company. We would still technically be a transaction broker or a dual agent. I would disclose that properly, and I would say, look, at least you have a different person advocating for you, but understand we all represent you and we all represent the seller. And that's not the best way to handle it. And if you feel like you need to go get a buyer agent, go do that and make an offer and put their compensation in there. I'll work it. That's fine.
Nice.
So then what was for you, what did you end up coming up with for 3 weeks that you were bantering back and forth?
1.9%. is what we will agree to work with work with and assist in the paperwork associated with an unrepresented buyer. So now I have 5.8% coming to my company. Now I can send a buyer agent. Now, right. Now I've got money to split. Now I can have someone in the deal. Now I can send them out and say, don't worry, I represent 5.8% commission on this house. Go open the door. If you sell it.
But there's
You'll get
no
paid.
fiduciary responsibility to that buyer. And they have to know that, obviously. It is what it is.
That's right. Specifically up front, they need to understand that nobody represents them. But that's what the buyers are wanting, right? Are you seeing that?
That's what we're seeing. I mean, and we're talking, at least up here in Hoboken. I mean, I had a deal that we had a listing where it was like, $1.5 million deal. And it was, we had multiple offers. I mean, no joke. We had three out of the 5 offers. They all refused to sign single property form. They didn't want to be represented. They said, I got this. Don't worry about it. And that's what we did.
Zero fee, right? Zero commission, unrepresented.
Unrepresented. I mean, we have it pre-negotiated, obviously, with the seller, but yeah.
So then seller, you had unrepresented buyer percent built into
Correct.
So, yeah, so you're still being
It's the same thing that DVN had just said. But yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but like I had a situation recently where a buyer insisted, right? And legally, we can't just say, hey, because you don't want to sign an agreement with me, a buyer broker agreement with me, we still have to show it because our fiduciary rights to the seller to be able to market and advertise. So like, yes, we were protected on the sell side.
Yeah, that was the problem we had. That's the problem we had to work around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like we had that. And then this particular buyer was like, well, I want to know if the seller is offering a compensation. And then I was like, well, that's between the seller and myself. I was like, I don't have to disclose that information to you, unfortunately. So they kept going, and their philosophy to me was, well, I want to be unrepresented. They actually said those exact words to me. So I said, well, you're educated in this matter. And they say, yes, because I want to work with you. But if the seller is offering a compensation, I want to take that off the sale price of the house. Credit. And yeah, they want that credit. And then they're going to want to be able to even go lower over that price. And I said, sir, if you want to offer an offer, we'll present any offer that you want. I said, that's my job to do so. I said, but I would suggest that you look a little deeper into the laws. And a lot of these people are trying to now see if there's an opportunity for them to kind of scheme the system in a way. So there's a lot of people getting creative.
So how did it go?
How did it go?
Did they get the deal together?
We're still at a standstill. I say, hey, listen, if you want to put an offer in, we'll sign the unrepresented. They won't sign the unrepresented. They want to specifically know what the compensation is. I'm like, hey, I don't have to tell you what the compensation is. If you want to put an offer, sign this and tell me what your offer is.
Has the seller pre-agreed to a compensation on this property, or they've just agreed to cooperate?
So there is, but this particular seller offered out a half a percent in this particular.
Oh, they did.
So yeah, it was just half a percent. But mind you, let me take another step back. It's not my personal listing; it's somebody within my company on the team that took one. So just a little bit of opportunity,
So yeah, can I offer a thought on it?
Go. This is a platform.
Yeah, why not just tell them like, hey, the seller was planning on paying a half a point to a buyer agent. So make your offer, and if you want to make it a half a point less, let's do whatever you want. We'll make it a half a point less. I'll present it. I'll see what I can do. At that point, you still have all the control anyways. You come back and go, look, they need more.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, we want credit for that half a point. Well, then, so how about this? Wait till the negotiations are over and then ask for the half a point, right? But especially since the seller only pre-agreed to a half a point, I don't know that I'd hold on to that information. As far as
more the principle, right, of trying to, because how do we know? I could have a 2%, which everybody else has a 2%, and a lot of my listing agreements are set at 4%.
I don't want to put you on blast, but I'm gonna give you a different principle. And my opinion on this. I think the principle is you do represent that seller. They want that offer. That's the principle. So bring the offer. So what I would want the buyer to know is like, listen, I want you to get the best deal. My job is to just sell the house. You could ask for 9% off if you want. You make an offer that you want, and I'll get you in the negotiation with the seller. They only pre-agreed to half a point. You'll get credit for it somewhere because you don't have an agent, but it's up to the seller. It's not up to me if you get credit for it. Your offer is going to represent itself, right? And the seller is going to determine they like it or don't like it based on their net proceeds.
Absolutely. And listen, the paperwork went out. They just have to sign
Yeah.
it. But
Oh, really?
yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
See, this brings up an interesting point, though. So we have like agents that are calling in, and the debate is, are they handling it right or are they handling it wrong? They call in and go, are you paying a commission on this? And some people are like, we're going to answer those calls and we're going to tell everybody how much we're paying. And now a lot of people are like, that's not how it works. We're not going to say what we're paying. We're just going to get the seller to pre-agree to it and say we're willing to negotiate, right?
Which is why we're in this whole mess to begin with.
Right. And that goes a little bit deeper, but here's my position on this. So my job as a listing agent is to control that message. And the message is show my listings. Right. And even when I was keeping 3.5 and offering 2.5, my message was still, I created a listing and we're paying 2.5% commission. And that's pretty good, right? You should be excited about that. Show my listings. And they're like, we don't want to show them because you're not fair. Well, they still did. And their buyers wanted to see it and it still worked. Right. My position now is, and the text message that we respond, if they text, it's very clear. It says, in order for us to be clear about the compensation that you're going to receive, the best way to handle that is inside your offer. Please put whatever's in your EBA in the offer. And I would love to get you paid. I'll do everything I can to get you paid. Right. So it's a different topic, Rich, but it brings up this point of, if as the salesperson representing the property, any resistance that a buyer agent or a client is going to feel about buying that property, probably isn't assisting the seller. I would say, if somebody's, I hope I didn't tell this on my podcast or when I was doing my own video, but I was at, you guys have Freddy's cheeseburgers out there?
No.
Okay. Well, we have Freddy's smash burgers. Okay. And I took my kids to go eat cheeseburgers, and I'm standing at the counter and the ladies back there like with a headset on. And I'm like, yo, I'm like East Coast for Midwest, right? I'm like, yo. And the lady's like this, like she's taking an order or something like that. And I said, do you guys want customers here or what? Like, what are you guys doing? And she's like, I'm taking an order. And then after I got my food, I said to her, do you want to know how you should know that you're not above this job? You're doing it. You're doing the job. That's how you should know that you're not above it. So why don't you act right and act like you actually want customers here? Right. I think about that sometimes when we're dealing with real estate agents, when they call in, even when they're a pain in the ass, they're a customer. It's like, hey, listen, I get it. It's rough out there. You're trying to get paid, trying to figure out if you're going to get that EBA in there. When you bring me that offer, I'm going to get you paid. Bring it to me. Now, even if my seller's like, fuck out of here with that, I'm not paying them anything. Even if that's what the seller says.
It doesn't matter, right? Yeah,
my job is to bring it in and go, let's try to get you paid.
And I feel like, DVN, this is a perfect lead into what I was going to ask you about. Where's the opportunity going forward, really, for agents? Because it seems like to you, I mean, you've sold thousands of properties. I mean, you're in ground zero. Kansas City is where this whole thing started, right? So
yeah, that guy lives like right here, like right.
It's so
here.
crazy, like it's right here, really? So where is the opportunity then? Like you see, because the way you just did it, there's a skill set right there that you've learned and you've honed in on. And we worked on this when I was coaching with you. Is that there was this it was always like, how do we make more profit? You've really turned the corner for me in my business in that way. So where's the opportunity for the agents then? Like, where do you really see it being like right now? There's an opportunity if there is one.
There definitely is one. When I coach my team every morning and we go to the huddle, I tell them, like, look, we just sold another listing at 3.9%. My pull through is this. Huge opportunity right now. I've never in my career been able to make 3.9%. At the height of my skill set and the best opportunity in the world, I could go out and make 3.5 on my side and maybe take a 7% listing, maybe take 6 and keep 3.5. So I'm making more now as a listing agent than I did before the agreement. That's an opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's first. The second thing is, here's my position. I've come out very publicly and said, like, get over it. It's been easy. You've been guaranteed 3% your whole life. You're going to have to raise your skill set. So what? Get over it, right? And I've gotten text and calls from agents in my market that I respect that have said, I got a text from someone that I really respect that said, stop talking about this publicly because well, we should just handle this between agents, right? Stop talking about this publicly. And I responded and said, that's not my position on this. That's actually the opposite of my position. So my position is this. This is what I send to my database. This is what I say on my COI calls. This is my position is let's have a conversation about commission. Let's look at it and see what actually makes sense. So if you call me and say, hey, look, we got one house we want to see. We know it's the house we're going to buy. It's $1.2 million. We just need you to open the door, make sure the deal's put together, represent our side of the transaction. What's that worth? Now, people get mad at this, and I'm not sure why, but if it's $1 million deal and that's where that's the way it's presented to me, I could probably do that deal for 15 grand. Could you do that deal for 15 grand? It's already put together. Facilitate the inspections, let your staff facilitate the transaction, make $15,000. That's more than the attorneys in my building makes for overseeing a contract, right? But we have this in our I make 3% or I don't show up. Okay, you're stupid.
That's an amazing point because people are going to walk into open houses, right? They're not going to have an agreement signed. They're just going to randomly walk in. Now those buyers are going to know there's a little bit of leverage. Hey, I want this house. And they're going to kind of go shop maybe to you and to maybe 2 more agents that they know they like. They're like, hey, I went to open house. I want to put an offer in and I want to charge a flat fee, right? You did no work, right? You just know the person. So to your point, why not just sign that agreement? Like, yeah, I'll write the offer for you. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get accepted. You're going to make whatever. It shouldn't matter on the price point, right?
So here's the opportunity. Let's connect the opportunity. So back to your question, Dean, what's the opportunity? The opportunity isn't you get to go out and reduce your fee and do more deals. The opportunity is you get to be the person in your marketplace that's willing to have the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Conversation's key because nobody wants to talk and nobody wants to talk openly about this. And nobody wants to say, hey, Mr. Buyer, come to the office. Let's have a presentation. Let's have a Zoom meeting. Let's have a coffee meeting. Let's break bread. Let's talk with each other, right? A lot of people are just kind of being sheltered, like you said, like, oh, I want 3%. Great. You tell a stranger you want 3%, they'll be like, yo, go kick rocks, right? I'm gonna go find somebody else that I like that I will pay 3% to. Or better yet, flat fee.
DVN, you've taken over 40 listings in the last month and a half. What are you finding that is working for you? Because you're still in personal production, obviously. So like agents are going to want to know, like, not, I just said that out loud. They're going to be like, oh, how the hell is that possible? What is working for you right now?
Somebody asked me that question yesterday when we were just talking about deals, and they said, like, what? Because people always want to look at like one thing that just started to fire. I answered the question yesterday like this. Everything that we've been doing is kind of working all at once. So working the database is working leads and lead follow-up is working expireds is working. You know what's really been working, surprisingly? I took an expired listing 2 weeks ago. I called the guy, and I think everybody else is calling him and saying one thing, right? And what I said to him was, bring this to my office tomorrow at 1:30 and I'll look at this and see if I can help you. It was call night here at my office. I was kind of tired. I was just like, just bring it and I'll look at it. I think I can help you with this. And I meant it. Like I seriously, I'm not even going to put a packet together. I'm not driving over. I'm not asking for the business. Drive that to me at 1:30 tomorrow. So I took the listing. That's the one that we're under contract on today. We got it sold.
Holy shit.
There's a for sale by owner like this week. This is true story. Monday. I'll send you the call. You can listen to it. I called the guy's for sale by owner. Okay. He's $575,000. And I called him and I said, this is David Van Noy Real Estate. We work with buyers and sellers in the area. Wanted to see how I could best help you get this sold. But he goes, I got this lady working on this deal. And I go, what company is she with? He goes, I think she's with Redfin or something. And I go, nah, I can't let you do that. He goes, you can't let me. He goes, you can't let me do that. I said, yeah. I said, if you'd have said a bunch of different companies, I probably said, have a nice day. You said Redfin. Now I have to help you. So, let's go ahead and get this set up. He goes, nah, thanks for the call, but I'm good. And I said, no, let's go ahead and meet today. How's 1:30? Come to my office and I'll go through this with you, right? Same thing. He says, all right, I'll meet you at 1:30. He comes over at 1:30. This is Monday. He comes over at 1:30 and I'm looking at the comps like this guy is out of bounds. He's sitting right here at that right there. He's sitting right there. I said, 575, where did you even get that? He goes, I'm the handyman. And the rich guy that owned the building died and gave me the building. I don't know what I have no idea what it's worth.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So I said, what do you really think it's worth? Right? He goes, I don't know, 300. So I listed it for 359. Okay. This is ridiculous. I listed it for 359 and he said, oh, what a great day. I got my house listed. You're going to work on it. I said, we should play the lottery. He goes, we should. And I said, I'll go in with you. I'll give you 20. I got 20 in my drawer. The guy goes to the gas station and buys $30 worth of Powerballs and brings them back to it. And now the whole staff is playing Powerball with the guy. I don't know why I'm telling that part of the story because I think it's ridiculous. But so what's the opportunity? Nobody's making that call. And nobody's saying, get out of here with this 575. You're going to give the listing to Redfin for 575. You're so out of bounds. It's not even funny. Right. So there's so much opportunity. It's not even funny. And nobody's making the calls and nobody's asking the questions.
That's so great. That's so great. So I mean, at this point, I mean,
I didn't win the Powerball. I didn't win, by the way. We were gonna make like $300 million and we didn't. So just
you wouldn't be on today's call. Yeah,
no, I would. You'd never know it. You'd never know it. I'd have like a pinky ring or something. I'd be like, you talking to me?
Nice. So all right. So when it comes to going into the end of the year, I mean, how long is there a timing of this opportunity? Do you look at this and say look, all right, because of the chaos that's ensuing right now, we have about 6 months of or a year or whatever, with everything going on, everything's working the right way. All the sources are working. How long do you think it's going to last for now?
That's a cool question, but I think it's bigger than you might think. So about 8 or 9 years ago, I started telling people, and I still think I'm pretty close to accurate with this. I started telling people 8 or 9 years ago that technology was just advanced enough that it was making our lives easy, but not necessarily the consumers yet. So what I meant by that was, these agents, I'm like, do you realize what I did when I started selling real estate? I would drive to people's house at 10 o'clock at night to get something signed. We didn't have DocuSign. I used to do the presentation at our board of realtors, and the agents would tell me, you're never going to allow digital signatures. That's so wrong. This is what we were doing. 2005, that's where we were. Now you click a button and the signatures come back to you at midnight. You have no idea. I used to drive to a fax machine. I'm old enough. I drove to a fax machine. That's true. So the technology is so easy for us of oh, you want to list your house? Boop. It's in your inbox. Give it to me. It's so easy. But here's what happens. The next 8 or 9 years, they're going to continue to disrupt it. Right. So Zillow's working on an all-in-one power app.
Yeah, super.
They own everything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They got Follow-Up Boss. They got Showing Time. They got
those are 2 major power asses right there.
They got Zillow. Right? They got the lead system. They got the CRM. They've got the showings. They got the data. They got they have all that stuff, right? So those guys are trying to figure out how to replace you right now. And it might, through AI and other things, maybe it takes 5 years, maybe it takes 10. To the point where it gets a lot more difficult. So the answer is, though, I think you've got a 10-year window where you can still make a lot of money selling real estate. And then you probably want to, be an executive at Zillow or have a different angle on it maybe. But so that's the opportunity on this part right here. Let's plan on 5 years.
Wow.
We'll see how this ages.
Still 5 years. I mean, let's be honest. That's a long time to make. I mean, if you really focus in, but do you feel like other people that have been in the game longer and like us, let's say, right? We're more the veteran class or the experienced ones. We were also trained with a crazy foundation, skill building, everything else. Are we the type of agents that you think are going to get to the next level? Or it's like, it doesn't really matter. It's like whoever's going to explain, have the conversation with the commission, everything else being equal. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I do. It's more important now than ever to understand that you are a business. Businesses make money in all different kinds of ways. One of the greatest things that you can do as an agent is just focus on your ability to go take listings. But one of the biggest limitations that you have is realizing, I have friends that are builders and developers, and they called me and said, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to pay buyer's agents? How should our contract look? What should our messaging be in our marketing? Should we say we're paying commissions or we're not paying commissions? So it brought up an interesting opportunity for me that, I get paid a commission when someone does a transaction. I'm not really that involved in that. That's my staff, really, right? What I'm more involved in is helping companies understand how they need to position themselves to create sales. Now, individual sellers or individual companies looking to promote one listing, I'm a good person to ask about that. If a builder has 30 homes that they're going to work on this year, I'm a good person to ask about that. So how does that monetize in the future? I'm not sure, but I intend to be the type of person that they would come and ask those questions to. So if it's a marketing agency or it's a consulting firm or it's a real estate company, it's all the same thought.
Truth. Mic drop. Drop that mic, because you just set fire throughout this whole podcast.
You think I lit it up right there? Why did that resonate so much with you, Rich? Why?
Because you're going to be the driving force, right? You're going to be the person that everybody wants to come to, right? Regardless of whatever the situation was. You said, if you have a marketing question, great, call me. You said you have a buyer question, call me. You have a seller question, call me. You need whatever. It sounds like you need a plumber to do something in your work. Hey, I have an arsenal of plumbers, right? Just being that light, that shining armor to everybody around you. So if that's your builders, check, right? Then now you have somebody else, whatever it might be. You might have somebody that's an insurance, right? They're gonna try to come to you with other questions. So like just learning to be the hub and to get everything thrown at you so you can try to be a resolution, be a problem solver. And at the same time, like you said, like, yeah, you have agents and you have your staff built out, and then you're still focused on everything else. So it's like all these little different facets to be able to rise.
DVN, I want to say, like, let me say if I'm like I'm an agent. Everyone's asking, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I don't care what, it doesn't matter. It could be new, it could be experienced. They go to you for advice. If someone says, I want to do extremely well, make $500,000 plus a year, whatever it is, $1 million, whatever, what are you advising to those agents right now? If they came to you and said, give me the playbook, what should I be doing activity wise to get to the next level of my business?
So I can tell you what I'm working on with people that I talk to, but also this is what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. People will overlook these ideas because maybe because they're so widespread or because I don't know, but I'll be interested to see what you think about it. But there's two things that I think you can do. First, right now, what I'm doing is working on my learning schedule between now and the end of the year. So a lot of people are distracted by whether things are working or not working. I feel like I did most of that preparation up front. The agreements are where they are. The team's working. I'm going out on presentations. Now we're working in that, right? I don't need to really go back and think too much about how we're going to structure those things because that's done. And as the offers come in, we're working through it. We're in the trenches on it, but it doesn't require as much headspace. So, I was talking to Rich about it. I created a learning schedule between September 1st and December 31st. And I think I've got 9 different books on there in a certain area that I want to focus on. And I'm just focused on growing myself personally in those areas. Right. And the areas that I'm focused on are leadership, masculinity, I'd have to go back and look at my list. I should have probably had it ready for you. But whoever's listening to this, what you need to do, okay, go to ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, write out, I would like to learn more about, and write 3 or 4 topics. Like, I want to learn more about leadership, prospecting, the human brain, and like write 4 things that you think are that interesting, right? And ask ChatGPT to create a learning schedule for you based on however many books you want to read between now and the end of the year. And what it gave me was, this week read this, next week read that. It'll give you exactly. Then I went back through and said, no, change this for that, change this for that. Get rid of this book, add another one. Here's the next thing you do. And this is a cool point. Take a ChatGPT. One of the best things I like to do with ChatGPT is I go to ChatGPT and I write in, tell me the chapters of The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. Right. And then it gives me the chapters. Right. And chapter 2 is like how to know who to choose for your team. So I say, tell me the top 10 points of chapter number 2. And it goes, and it tells me the top 10 points. And now I read that and it's like rereading the book. Right. So that's a cool thing. So all that learning schedule, that's one. The second thing, Dean, and this is going to apply across the board. It's going to sound really strange, maybe. Improve your health between now and December 31st. That means commit to a new diet, commit to a new workout routine, lift heavy weights, walk more, move more, figure out exactly what you want to do with your body between now and December 31st. So people will say, no, I want to figure out how to sell more houses. You get in good ass shape and read 9 books and tell me that you don't sell twice as many houses as you thought you were going to.
Amen.
Did you get a tingle, Dean? Did you get a tingle?
Dude, I don't know what to tell you. I mean that, like, I wish people understood that, like, I mean, that is so, it's amazing that I'm thinking you're going to tell me, oh, call this lead, do this, do that. No, it's learning and health. Isn't that so funny? And I will say, to your credit, DVM, what you push me to do also is that I read books all the time, and I have, since we started coaching together years ago. And it's really, I never delve into that. The smarter I get, my scripts and dialogues with the clients just got better. And I was able to use things that it's not in the script, but I'm able to like put it out there, and then you get in shape and you can just go, and your endurance is up. I mean, that's why I was just like looking like that, because it's just the truth.
Yeah, my script is give it to me. Give it.
Yeah,
and if the energy's right and you deserve it, the universe just goes, okay, here you go. I'm telling you, the last 2 listings, I was like, just give it. Like, come over here and I'll do it. And there was no like classic closing line there. It was like, this is clearly the person who's getting shit done. Give it to him.
Yeah.
Confidence.
It's just, man.
And momentum and confidence right there.
What do you want to leave? Okay, we're towards the end here, but what do you want to leave? What you have the last word, DVM. This is your time. What do you want to tell agents? Like the last thing on your
my legacy? Like, you're gonna play this at my funeral? The hell?
Well, that's Rich. If you want to ask that question, you can. But I don't
know. There's no questions that I have for him. This is not traditional.
It's not a traditional pod. Yeah. Format.
All right, let me give you a non-traditional answer then. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
All right. Here's what's on my mind today. This is what I represent, good and bad. Stop worrying about what other people think about your production. Stop worrying about what your volume looks like on social media. Stop worrying about the trophies. Stop worrying about making some chairman circle so you guys can all, jerk each other off with cold shrimp. It doesn't matter at all to anybody. And even the people that like you don't care, right? They don't care. And it doesn't mean that production isn't important and selling houses isn't important and reporting that back to the people that are tracking it is important. But so much of it is driven by the fact that, like, oh, well, someone else in my office, they did 4 million this month, and I wonder what they're doing to do 4 million. Like, you have no idea what they're doing. You have no idea what their profitability is. You have no idea the agreements they have with individual people. You have no idea how difficult it is and if they'll even have those deals close. You're just measuring the wrong shit all the time.
Wow.
Like, focus on yourself.
Mm.
On yourself. Do you know, this is just a question I had, so I'll ask it, that when you said that,
Yeah.
do you agree it's healthy to have targets on certain people? Like, I'm not saying like whether you like them or you don't like them, but like that person that is doing 100 deals, let's just say, and you're doing whatever, 30 deals.
Did you read the book? Did you read the book, Patrick Bet David's book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely?
Never.
So check that one out. That's a new one. Here's what I'd say to that. So I read that book and then I texted it to my enemy who's in my market, who used to be a Mike Ferry agent, and I hate his guts. He's an absolute jerk off, to use a Jersey word. And I sent him a text message with the book, and I don't speak to this guy. And I sent him a text message and I said, read this book. You'll enjoy it, you pussy ass hater. And that's what I sent him. So yes, it's important. It's true. I'll send you a screenshot. It's absolutely true. And you'll know the guy that I sent it to. Now, he didn't respond. He deserves that. Like, you have no idea how much he deserves that. Like, I'm not a hater. I would love for everybody to do well. He deserves it. So yeah, it's important that you have people that you're trying to beat. It's important that you're competitive. That's different. That's different. The idea, though, see, what I see is people come to me and go, well, how do you think Jim's doing? He did like 13 deals this month. How do you think he's doing that? Well, you're not interested in that answer. You think he found a hack and a shortcut that you don't know about, and there is no shortcut, and it's never as good behind the scenes as it looks on the front stage. So,
Preach.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That,
man, it's so good, dude.
Just a question that popped up in my head, to try to drive and create momentum, and from certain podcasts that I hear. But I totally understand and agree.
It's been great. It's been great, DVN, dude. Thank you so much. Okay, for referrals, everything else, what is the easiest way for people to reach out to you for any of that stuff?
Kansas City, David Van Noy. I'm on state line, so I'm in Kansas. I'm in Missouri. Send me anything you want.
All right.
I'm easy to find.
Is it email, DMs? Is it, what is it?
I don't care. Yeah, send me an email. David@vannoyre.com.
David.
There you go, guys. David at
awesome.
You guys are the best.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on our podcast today.